Acts 13 and 1 on the block. We them Jews, them true niggas. Mission is to paint the better picture, so we on the front line. We on the front line. Knick-knack, patty-whack, and give a dog a bone jack. Word to Christ, he said it in the scriptures, so we on the front line. We on the front
it's
line.
spiritual warfare, I'm on the front line. Bye, black sheep, I'm trying to wake the tribe. This what the doctor prescribed. You know y'all.
Shalom, it's your brother Hurt 2.0 of Bezalel. And I'm out here in the beautiful city of Mobile, Alabama, in the Bienville Square Park. And I'm out here to ask my people one question. And that question is, do you love the Most High God? And the point and reason of me asking this question is to go into scripture and find out how we actually are supposed to love the Most High God. What are the actions that we're supposed to do that shows him that we actually do love him?
How you doing, bro? How you doing?
All right.
What you preaching about today?
Man, about loving the Most High God.
Okay.
Would you say that you love the Most High God?
I believe so.
Okay. What would you say would indicate you loving the Most High God based on scripture?
Based on scripture, following his will.
Following his will, right? Okay. And so I'm gonna grab a scripture because it actually shows us exactly how we know whether or not we do. So this is 1 John chapter 5 and verse 3 and 4. It says, "For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. For whatsoever is born of God overcometh the world. And this is the victory that overcometh the world, even our faith."
Yeah, it's talking about the commandments of Jesus Christ to love one another as you love yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to say that in the next following. And obviously he wrote the Gospel of John. So
Right.
He's going to be commenting on what he is, said there. Not necessarily what people think the commandments, like the 10 commandments. There's
So
hundreds
would
of
you-
commandments, more than 10 of them.
Are you familiar with where Christ actually quoted that from?
What do you mean?
Where he quoted about the two greatest commandments, because that's what you're talking about,
Love
right?
one another as you love.
Right.
I think it's towards the end of the Gospel of John. Maybe it's around John chapter 15 or 16.
I'll grab that passage in Matthew 22, but he's actually quoting it from the Old Testament.
But that's in John. But yeah, there's in the like Levitical code. But the way Jesus says it is a different way. Obviously, if you know the Sermon on the Mount, it's not identical to the way the Jews perceive it. So the way that was given to the Jewish people in the Old Testament is not the same way he gives it on the Sermon on the Mount, because he said, "You have heard, but I say to you." So that means you have perceived, you know what you mean, but you actually don't. So he said, "You have heard." That's why he carries on and says, "I say, love thy enemy, not kill them."
Right, but
so yeah, it's not just from Matthew or the Sermon on the Mount. I mean, it's specifically in John where he says, "Abide in my commandments and love me and love one another as I love you."
I'm gonna read what he stated, so we just not.
But
quoting
he is quoting from the Gospel of John, the Gospel he wrote.
No,
right?
he's quoting from the Old Testament, and I'll show you that.
Yes, but he's quoting Jesus walking with them, not just the love thy neighbor as love thyself.
Right, and so that's what I'm going to read. I'm going to read what he actually said and get where he got it from, where he's actually quoting it from in the Old
expanded
Testament.
upon though.
What do you mean?
In the Gospels.
It's definitely expounded upon. What was written in the Old, all of that's expounded on in the New Testament by Christ. So with Matthew 22:36, it says, starting at 36 through 40, it says, "Master, which is the great commandment in the law?" Jesus said unto him, "Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself." Right? So there are two great commandments. And the reason that he said that,
what are you reading up from?
This is Matthew 22.
But okay, you do realize that.
He talks about it in Matthew 5.
He's not quoting it from Matthew because he's dead by the time anybody's passing around.
Right.
Okay.
So this is where he got it from.
Well, he got it from Jesus' mouth.
No, that's Christ speaking.
Yeah, he got from. But I'm saying you're not saying John got it from a book.
No. That's red letter. That's Christ actually saying that.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm going to go to where he's quoting it from. He's quoting it from Deuteronomy chapter 6.
Yep.
So in Deuteronomy chapter 6 it says, and I'll read in start at verse 5. It says, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might, right? That's one of the greatest commandments, right?
Yep.
So when we read it in context, which is verse 1 in chapter 6, it says, now these are the commandments, the statutes and the judgments which the Lord your God commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land whither ye go to possess it, that thou mightest fear the Lord thy God, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee, thou and thy son, and thy son's sons, all the days of thy life.
Okay, you know who he's speaking to, though, right?
Speaking to the Israelites.
Okay, so you know that those laws are not for Gentiles, right?
Well, who would you consider a Gentile?
People not from the land of Israel.
That wouldn't be technical as far as the scripture. The Israelites would be a lineage of people.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
So I mean, it wouldn't be just bound to Israel.
I mean, I'm talking about at that time. At that time, that's where they are.
Right. Before they get scattered, right?
Yeah, because you understand that if you go to the Levitical code, you can't keep that because that's all based on temple worship, and the temple got destroyed in 70 AD. So you can't sit there and quote a bunch of stuff. Like even if you ask Jewish people in Israel today, they would say, "Oh no, we never thought you were under the code of we were. I don't know, it's like 540 some commandments.
Yeah,
they say
more
than
that.
They say you're under the Noahic code,
right?
The code of
That's
Noah.
what they say.
That's why in Acts chapter 15, when they ask how Gentiles get crafted in the church, you get crafted in the way Noah got crafted. You don't follow temple sacrifice laws because the temple was destroyed in 70 AD.
Right, and that's what I was going to say.
Like you just said in that verse, it says the land. Because you know there's Sabbath laws like every 7 years,
right?
And how you're not. So those are laws of literally land that it's impossible to follow today.
Right, but that's the thing. That's what Christ is for. Because there were going to be certain things we couldn't do. That's what that grace is for. When there's certain commandments you're breaking, not on purpose, you're just not able to do it.
Well,
so,
let me ask you this first. Just because I've talked to so many people out here, and I'm to be respectful, but so many people tell me that they're Christian or this, but they really are something different. So what is it the thing?
I'm an Israelite. Yeah, I'm an Israelite. I'm gonna tell it to you straight. Yeah, I ain't gonna hide it and nah.
There's two different groups, so correct me if I'm wrong, because I know a lot of people don't identify this. You identify Black Hebrew Israelite.
No.
There's a second group.
No. Hebrew Israelites.
Okay.
Some people call us Black Hebrew Israelites, but that's a derogatory term because that's their way of saying y'all aren't the Israelites.
Yeah, I've heard people.
Y'all are black people trying to claim.
I've heard different people. That's why I was trying to get you to clarify.
Right.
Because the other day I was out here in some Seventh-day Adventists. You talked to them before?
No, I haven't.
Oh, well, they were telling me, we just believe in the Bible. But what they really mean is they have a prophet who interprets the Bible,
and I know
and then
about
they believe
that.
everything she says.
Right.
And then
right.
they say we believe in the Bible, but they really mean we believe everything this woman says.
Right.
Okay, so you're preaching.
Yeah, I believe in the entire Bible.
Okay, so you think you're from the lost tribe of Israel? Which
I wouldn't say I think. I would say that all the clues that I've been able to gather over the years point to me, the Israelites being the Hispanics, the Native Americans, the black people, not just people of color, because some of those are, less melanated. Like I don't know what you may be as far as like your lineage. Okay. You have some color in you, so I wouldn't know, what tribe you're from. So as far as like your father, what would you say your father would be considered in America? Like people look at him and they say,
they say I'm black.
Okay, they say you black, right? And according to these certain things that I can read in Deuteronomy 28, there's certain curses, certain blessings that would be on certain people as a marker, as a sign. It actually says that.
I'm trying to ask you this very specifically. You're not conflating when God is speaking to people of the land, giving them a law that's literally for those people and not the world, to what Christ does in the New Testament. These are two different things. Right?
I would say that the scripture actually tells us there's a prophecy that the Israelites will be scattered into all nations, and that also in these prophecies it talks of a regathering.
Just that one point. Do you admit that a lot of things in the Old Testament are specifically talking about a kind of person at a certain place because they're literally the Levitical laws where you have to be following a priest from the tribe of Levi, where you go to a temple that was destroyed. We know the temple was destroyed 1,950 years ago.
I agree.
And you understand a lot of those laws can only
happened in the land at the temple.
Only if that temple still existed.
Right, and I agree.
So a lot of those laws are not pertained. And,
I agree.
And you can also say, you can look at any history of Jewish people, if you want to call that Hebrew or whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to say the general term Jewish.
Right.
That they have never thought that those laws were for people considered Gentiles. You understand that?
I would say that the laws are specifically for the Israelites. They're not for other nations.
I just make, because there's a lot of people, they conflate, they read things, and then they take the history out of it,
right,
and they put their 2024 understanding.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
So you understand
if I tell you anything, I can go to a scripture.
Okay, so the Levitical law. Can I ask you one question? What Bible are you reading?
This is the King James. But I'll read any Bible according to looking at the Hebrew and the Greek. If it's accurate, if it lines up with the actual language. But if
you read who?
Allah.
Allah? Oh, you Muslim stuff? Okay. We can talk about that later.
We're
going to focus on this conversation first.
Right.
So that's something I always want to wonder, because I see a lot of people are King James only.
Yeah, I'm not. Definitely not.
Okay.
I like the NLT, the ESV. It's according to however the original text was written, if it lines up close to it.
So I don't straw man in your arguments.
Yeah.
So you don't consider yourself a Christian?
Nah. I mean, I'm a follower of Christ.
But you're not a Christian.
But not like I'm not a part of Christianity, I'll say that.
Okay. Right. And you're a part of, you say, a restoration movement where you believe that the lost tribe of Israel has been disturbed and you want to bring it back.
Most definitely.
Well, before we read anything out of Scripture, I want to know, where did you get that idea from?
Okay.
Because this is it's a rehash recent movement. So this is around about the 1800s, and recently through the internet, it's gotten very popular of recent times.
Right.
So let me ask you, where did you? Because I'm gonna be for real with you. I don't believe anybody just picked up the Bible and is going to have the set of ideas you said. You had to get outside information.
And I'm going to tell you how I got my first thought of it.
Okay.
It was actually as a child. My mom will attest to this, that I asked my mom, I said, Mama, who are these people that's in the Bible that's the Israelites? And she was like, baby, don't nobody really know. But I had these questions as a child. A lot of things that I was taught in the church. My granddad was an actual pastor in Daphne, Alabama, across the water.
What kind of
Macedonia Baptist Church, Baptist.
Okay.
Yeah, and I grew up a Baptist. So I had questions when I would hear certain stuff.
A very generic Christian
right.
Most Christians believe a Baptist belief.
Right. And I grew up believing a lot of stuff, but I started to question things as I'm reading for myself. And I'm like, is this, seriously right? It don't sound right.
Become sooner than you think. In the night like a thief.
Gotta do the work until the Messiah come.
Get caught sleeping
Come on.
when the Messiah come.
Gotta do the work until the Messiah come.
Than you think. In the night like a thief.
Gotta do the work until the Messiah come.
Get caught sleeping when the Messiah come.
Gotta do the work. Procrastination come from Satan. Not action need to be affirmative. You got options, you got choices. The consequences are permanent. Just you and your well-being can't be all that you concerned with. What the use of having knowledge if nobody else is learning? We responsible for breaking the curse. It's on you. Don't be lazy. I'll put in some work. It's on you. Don't be stubborn, sis. Put the Most High first. You can win them by your conduct. You being observed. It's on you. We the reason we can't exit Babylon while we still getting destroyed. Don't know who we really are. It's on us. We who we waiting on, not the Messiah. Do the work. You want the kingdom, gotta stay on fire. Shalom.
Than you think. In the night like a thief.
Gotta do the work until the Messiah come.
Get caught sleeping
Come on.
when the Messiah come.
Gotta do